Yes, New York Jet fans, we can breathe now after what many people thought was a significant injury for quarterback Justin Fields during the team's second day of training camp practices is only a dislocated toe, and he's listed as day-to-day by the New York Jets. We'll break down Fields' injury, the biggest takeaways from day 2 of training camp practices, and much more, all coming up here on a Thursday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Let's roll.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Long.
What is going on, New York Jet fans? Hello, everyone, and welcome back here into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk right here on this beautiful Thursday evening, July 24th, 2025. Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe on your way into the building. It's completely free and helps us grow significantly right here on the show. Also, get all your super chats and gifted memberships in. Every gifted membership or $2 super chat gives you an opportunity to win a Lavernius Coles, Wayne Corbett, Santana Moss signed photo, a Don Maynard signed photo, an Altoon signed photo, a free item from our merch store, and a channel emoji, coupled with a signed Sauce Gardner photo that comes in a frame. So get all your super chats and memberships in. They really do help us grow significantly right here on the channel. It is Connor Long right here with you guys on a Thursday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Appreciate all of your support as always. And boy, oh boy, was today a roller coaster of emotions for myself and fellow Jet fans. And it was for a viable reason. After all that, after all of the drama played out, it turned out to be pretty much a nothing burger. But obviously the big news from day 2 of training camp practice today in Florham Park, New Jersey, was Justin Fields. He was carted off the field during 11-on-11 drills after he was rolling out of the pocket on a play-action bootleg, and seemingly a defensive player stepped on his foot. That's what Aaron Glenn believes. That's what a lot of the reporters reported, and it prompted a cart to have to come out on the field, take Fields in, and Fields was able to get into the facility on his own power. But obviously, it's a scary sight when your quarterback, especially when you're the Jets organization, first off, but when your quarterback, who you just inked to a 2-year, $40 million contract this offseason, gets onto a cart the second day of training camp. Thank God it was nothing significant. It ultimately turned out to be a dislocated toe, not his big toe either, so a small toe on his right foot. Nothing significant. He's listed as day-to-day for the Jets. I will be back at training camp practice tomorrow, so I will be in person covering training camp practice. I'm actually joining Jake Asman at 4 p.m. on his show tomorrow to give my breakdown of what I saw, and then we'll obviously be live on this channel tomorrow at 8 p.m. EST with Dylan Terman of Jet Nation doing the same exact thing. But I think the bottom line for Justin Fields and what happened today with him is, you're great to see that it's okay. I mean, even the Jets noted in their tweet that they put out announcing the injury that he avoided a significant injury and missing significant time. So, my mind, when I heard non-contact training camp, my first thought went to an Achilles tear. Thank God it was not that, just a dislocated toe. In the meantime, it's expected that Tyrod Taylor takes, a handful of the first team reps now, is coming in as the QB1, while Adrian Martinez, and undrafted rookie Brady Cook will see a significant, uptick in snaps over the next few days as they compete for a spot on this team's roster. Look, it's great to see that it's a dislocated toe. This is the best outcome that you could have possibly asked for, because, I was thinking could have been a sprained ankle too. A sprained ankle obviously isn't nearly as significant as an Achilles tear. However, the thing is, you want Justin Fields back on the practice field ASAP, because this is a guy who's new to this organization, is still learning the new offensive system, still learning to, with his teammates. You want him to get as much practice reps as possible, as many opportunities to perform on the field as humanly possible. So come week 1, he's ready to start a regular season game. I think this is why you have a reliable backup in Tyrod Taylor, someone who is pretty literally 500 throughout his career. 28-1 is his record in games he's played in since since entering the league 14 years ago. So you do have a reliable backup in Tyrod Taylor, which I do think is super important. But let's be real, you can't go out and play 17 games with Tyrod Taylor. He gets hurt one way or another. The bottom line, it is good to see that Fields is healthy. Tyrod, obviously, though, when Aaron Glenn spoke about it today, the drop off isn't significant between Fields and Tyrod, other than Fields has a higher ceiling than Tyrod, and then obviously Fields has proven to be a more healthy quarterback throughout his career. Other than that, I think Tyrod actually has a higher floor for this team than Justin Fields ultimately does. So you always want to have a great backup plan. I do think the Jets have that with Fields, but just with Tyrod, excuse me. Justin Fields, however, dislocated smaller toe in his right foot. He is listed as day-to-day with the Jets. I mean, day-to-day could mean he's back on the field Monday. I doubt it is Saturday. Jets practice Saturday, then Sunday they have off. He could be back on the practice field Monday. He could be back on the practice field Tuesday. This isn't nearly as significant as we thought, and I think that is a great sign for the Jets and obviously all of us New York Jet fans out there who were stressing out today once that post came through. I was panicking. I had to write it up for Jets X Factor as well. It was not fun getting that tweet and, reading that update there, but good to hear that Justin Fields is okay. And, it's not a significant Achilles tear. The card, what scared me was the card. The first tweet I saw was Justin Fields limping to the sideline. I was like, oh, geez, not great. But then once I saw the card, I was like, oh, my God. But turns out just a dislocated small toe, so not a big deal for the Jets. Fields listed as day-to-day. I assume he will be back on the practice field next week. I want to get into some of the overall, though, key takeaways from today. Just, following along. I obviously was not at practice today. I will be back in Florham Park tomorrow. I want to get into some takeaways that I saw from, listening to these reporters, reading on Twitter. I heard that Adrian Martinez had a great practice today. Adrian Martinez obviously was in the same position this time last year. He ultimately earned a spot on the team's practice squad. He's the guy who's going to see an uptick in snaps over the next few practices with Fields obviously sidelined. So I look to him, see how he's able to stick out in, 7-on-7s, 11-on-11. I heard Brady Cook struggled. Brady Cook, by the way, someone I'm really, really high on. So not great to see him struggle. He threw a pick six to the safety, Jarius Monroe. Obviously, Jarius Monroe picked it off, threw it to the house. I heard Brady Cook was overthrowing a bunch of receivers. His accuracy was way off today. But again, he's going to get more reps. He's going to get more opportunity now with Fields down. So you look to Brady Cook and Adrian Martinez, obviously, behind quarterback Tyrod Taylor, who I assume is going to be getting all the run with the first team. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, Brandon Stevens, I pointed him out as my favorite defensive player yesterday. When I was at practice, it looked like he's followed that same trajectory today. He had a great practice, locked down Garrett Wilson on one-on-one drills. I heard, from, following Twitter, following the reporters, he was stingy in coverage. Again, I said if Brandon Stevens is able to improve his on-ball skills, which Aaron Glenn has spoken a ton about, this guy can definitely be a viable corner 2 option for this team to line up alongside Sauce Gardner. So continue to look out for Brandon Stevens. He's been on the upward trajectory, for the first 2 training camp practices. Obviously, he has A.Z. Thomas right on his heels, who the Jets did select with the 73rd overall pick in this year's NFL draft. So I think Brandon Stevens is really going to need to continue to thrive. On the special teams side of things, not too many positives. Overall, kicking was rough today. From what I heard, both kickers missed multiple field goals, including some short ones. Zach Rosenblatt put in the tweet, quote, including one from Caden Davis, at one point that missed badly enough that I turned to someone to ask, quote, was that on purpose? Davis and Harrison Mevis both lack experience, but Aaron Glenn insists he's not giving up on them. I say both the kicker and punter are not currently on the team. I think they've signed a veteran kicker, whether it's a Nick Folk, maybe at the back end of the preseason, if these guys really continue to struggle, or find a guy who ultimately gets cut on cut down day. As for punter, I think they do the same thing. Punter, I think you look to someone post cut down day, because the punting hasn't received much coverage, but watching in Florham Park yesterday, the punting was not pretty, especially from Austin McNamara. Kai Kroger wasn't as bad, but certainly not perfect. So special teams, a lot to clean up there for New York. And obviously we know special teams killed the Jets season last year. Greg Zuerlein, obviously, single-handedly losing this team multiple games. So those are the overall key takeaways I'd take from today's training camp practice. Malachi Corley, again, struggled a bit from what I've seen. I think he's a guy who really needs to pick up the pace over the next few practices and obviously the preseason games if he wants to earn a spot on this team's roster. He's a roster bubble player who needs to maximize every single opportunity that he possibly gets to make a significant impact on this team. So I think Malachi Corley really needs to pick up the pace, but this team still has so many training camp practices to go. They really, really do. So I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys continue to progress, seeing the, under the radar players. Those who follow the channel know I love tabbing under the radar players to watch, guys who I think can make a push. This year, my guy to watch, the unsung hero I'd look out for is Jamal Pritchett, an undrafted free agent out of South Alabama. I've spoken about him a ton on the show. So that's what I'm looking at. Now, kind of want to move on to some comments that Aaron Glenn made at the podium following practice. Obviously, every single practice and training camp, Aaron Glenn speaks to reporters. So do 4 players every day. Today was only 3, though, which was a little surprising. Those 3 players were Josh Reynolds, Elijah Vera Tucker, and Brandon Stevens. But I want to get into some quotes that came out of Aaron Glenn's presser. He spoke a lot about Elijah Vera Tucker, and I find that interesting because Vera Tucker is a guy who's entering the final year on his current contract. When healthy, I think he's the top offensive lineman in this league. The thing is, he hasn't been able to stay healthy on the field. Speaking about Tucker today, Glenn said, quote, "He's a great player, and hopefully at some point we can try to talk and get something done. I mean, he's one of those guards that can do a lot for us as far as running as far as run protection, and pass protection. He's big, he's strong, and that's been critical for how we want to play offensive football." So that's Aaron Glenn talking about Elijah Vera Tucker there. So AVT's a really intriguing player because, like I said, when he is on the field, he is a very, very, very efficient lineman. He is great in pass protection. He's a great run blocker. Pretty much everything that AG just said there. And also, one thing I want to add, AG mentioned guard. Another thing I want to add is this guy has experience playing 4 of the 5 offensive line positions at the NFL level. That is super, super, super important. This guy's been a pillar of versatility throughout his NFL career. Again, homegrown talent as well, a first-round pick, not by this regime, but a first-round pick just not too long ago out of USC. A guy who has come in, who's outplayed expectations when he's been on the field. I think you have to reward someone like that. I want to see if he's healthy this season. He has shown no indication of wanting to hold out. I don't think he's in a position to hold out for a new contract at this rate. I look maybe to mid-season or the end of the year to see if he is healthy come this season, if he's able to continuously produce at a high caliber. I'd want to wait, towards the middle of the season or the end of the year to re-sign AVT. But if they do give him 2 years, $20 million today, for example, I'm not going to kick myself over it because I know how much upside this guy has as a player. I know how much untapped potential he has. So certainly looking at that and saying that this guy, when he's on the field, is a very, very, very solid offensive guard, in my opinion, Pro Bowl caliber guard. So AVT's contract, certainly one of those to monitor. Glenn also gave an update on Jermaine Johnson today, and he was very, very confident when asked if Johnson is going to be ready for week 1 of the season. Obviously, suffered a torn Achilles during week 2 of last year. The Jets placed him on the PUP list to open training camp. And Jermaine confirmed this on Twitter. The Jets are just trying to slow down the recovery process, make sure everything done is done correctly here. They don't rush anything, and he's ultimately ready to hit the ground running come the start of the regular season. Look, I don't expect – I think he will be ready for week 1. Yes, I do think Jermaine Johnson will be ready for week 1, but I don't expect him to play, 80, 90% of the defensive snaps come week 1. I expect the Jets to kind of take their time, ease him back into this defense, and then come week 4 or 5, he's fully ready. It's kind of like what they did with Mike Williams last year. Although Mike Williams never really caught on to this offense, they slowed him down and they continuously gave him more and more and more snaps each week until he got traded. I'd say Jermaine Johnson is, playing the maximum amount of defensive snaps come week 3 or 4 of the season. That's what you hope. Jermaine Johnson's been posting a lot of updates on social media about, him hitting PRs in the gym, him thriving since this injury. So it's been a positive recovery process from what we've been able to monitor on, social media and Twitter thus far from Jermaine Johnson. So there's the update there from Aaron Glenn. He does expect Johnson will be ready for week 1 of the regular season. We don't know how much. We don't know how many snaps he will play. All we do know that he's expected to be ready for the start of the regular season, according to Aaron Glenn. A lot of takeaways from day 2 of practice. Same goes for day 1. Day 3, obviously, tomorrow I will be in Florham Park tomorrow for day 3 of Jets training camp. Hopping on with Jake Asman tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST, giving you my eyewitness breakdown. Same here on the channel, 8 p.m. EST. Stay tuned tomorrow. Dylan Terraman of Jet Nation joins us on the show, so certainly stay tuned for that. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Appreciate all of your support as always. It's only been 2 training camp practices, so don't fret anything, excuse me. Don't overreact to any of this news. Obviously, it's a great positive to see that Justin Fields is he's not fully healthy, but it's just a minor injury with a dislocated toe, and he will be ready, hopefully, come next week. Not an Achilles tear that I fear, that most of the Jet fan base fear. We're all good. We're ready to go for the 2025 season. If you ask Aaron Glenn, Jermaine Johnson will be ready for week 1. And as AG told reporters yesterday, training camp is about creating new things. It's about evolving. It's about taking the next step. And the Super Bowl is down the road. This team continuously takes the process day by day. And tomorrow will be day 3 of New York Jets training camp. So certainly follow me on Twitter at Connor_Long15 to receive all the latest updates and news for tomorrow. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. It is Connor Long right here with you guys on NY Flight Jets Talk, signing off here on this Thursday evening, July 24th, 2025. Have a great rest of your night, everyone. And as always,